Welcome to another episode of the Taiwanology podcast. This is your host, Guangying Liu from Taiwan's Commonwealth Magazine. I have the honor to welcome our very first ministerial guest on our show. He is Yen-nun Huang, Taiwan's Minister of Digital Affairs. The Digital Ministry, or Taiwan's Ministry of Digital Affairs, is Taiwan's youngest ministry, established only 2 years ago. In early July, Taiwan's Executive Yuan just passed the draft of Cybersecurity Management Act, and it is supervised by this very ministry. Hope we could also talk about that later in the show. Minister Huang, he graduated from National Taiwan University, got his PhD in computer science from the University of Maryland. He has a long and colorful career in the private sector and across many different government positions. He has previously served as a distinguished researcher and department head at AT&T Bell Labs in the U.S. He was also once the executive vice president at the Institute for Information Industry in Taiwan. Before taking on the job of MODA minister, he was the director of the Research Center for Information Technology Innovation at Academia Sinica, Taiwan's most important research institute. Ever since taking office in May, Minister Huang has focused on information security, digital resilience, artificial intelligence, and combating online fraud. So, welcome to the show, Minister Huang. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Great. We know that you have a busy day, so we appreciate your time. Could you first tell us, you were educated in the U.S. and you worked at AT&T Bell Labs. What did you do there? What was your job?
Okay, I was in a research organization in Bell Labs, and I was doing research in Bell Labs, and actually I was working on the communication software research department. So I wrote a lot of code, and I helped the communication system become robust and fault tolerance. And so actually that's what my major contribution in AT&T Bell Labs. My software was used by many parts of the company. So I get a great honor for that.
Okay, so was it technology for mobile phone or what was that?
No, for the switching systems. So remember that our phone used to be analog system and we switch into digital systems. So in the transition, actually there's a lot of new components need to be implemented, especially related to the reliability of the systems to make sure that you can have a phone call anytime. So we need the system availability to be 99.999.
Right.
So that's all depend on the software implementation. So that's I did some work on that. So.
Okay, so you are a security guy. I guess we can say that.
Yes, at that time, yes.
Right. And why did you later become an academic?
No, actually, my work is of course, is related to research. Although I'm working for a company, but published a lot of papers and attended many academia conferences. So later on, come back to Taiwan. I also in a research organization, including III and then now Academia Sinica. So they are research or related organizations. So I'm doing pretty much what I have done before, except that I'm in Taiwan and still doing my research.
And do you miss your life in the private sector?
I only come into this public sector for a month and a half.
Right.
Definitely there's a more demanding in terms of my time and my work in the public sectors. Yeah, I sort of miss, but of course I can do a lot more in the public sector. So I hope that I can make more contributions in the public sector.
Right. Yeah. So this is brings me to my next question. You assumed the role of digital minister just over a month ago. Why did you leave Academia Sinica and join this job as a digital minister? It's a tough job.
Yeah, as I said, that I want to make more contribution to our country, Taiwan. So that's one reason why I come back to Taiwan. Same thing I want to do. I was born here, I grew up here, and this is my hometown. So that's why I came back to Taiwan. when I was offered this job, I think about it, but I think that I've been doing a lot of research and also a lot of work related to cybersecurity, related to AI in the past. And I found that there are many problems today that we are facing. Actually, you need these technologies. For example, later on we can talk about the fraud, anti-fraud, and then about the digital transformation. They all need technologies. And I decided to give it a try. And I hope that I can really make changes to Taiwan's future. So that's why.
Great. I think you're working super hard because you're losing your voice.
I'm
talking
sure,
too much.
Yes.
Yeah. My next question is about the most important jobs that you have mentioned in inauguration press conference. You mentioned that there are three main priorities, which are combating fraud, strengthening Taiwan's digital resilience, and developing the digital economy. Why did you decide on these three directions?
Okay, so first of all, about the fraud. Really, the fraud is a big issue in Taiwan. So many people, actually, there's many stories about people losing money because of the fraud. And as I said, that the problem of the fraud, the cyber actually can be detected. A lot of them can be detected by technologies. So, for example, we can use many AI technology to detect this message or advertisement is a fraud.
Really?
So I think that first of all, when I come in, one reason I come into this job is because the fraud problems. I think we can use technology to solve it. So I put this as a highest priority that I think that I should help our country to deal with this anti-fraud. So that's first thing. And then, of course, I mentioned about we need to develop our digital economy. And for the digital economy, we need to have the digital economy highway. For the highway, that means we need a better communication or network system.
What does it mean to have a digital highway?
So digital highway is more like our traditional highway, like the highway system we have on the road, right? It's basically to move people along, to move goods along. That's for economy, manufacture, and so on. Now, for the digital economy, what we move along is the data. Now, to move data fast, you need a very good communication infrastructure. And that communication infrastructure has to be resilient to any physical or the virtual attacks. Okay, physical means earthquakes or any natural disaster kind of events. For the virtual attacks like
hackers, ransomware,
and so on. So this is you need to make it resilient to to natural disaster or the so-called cyber attacks. And so that's why I said we need to build this digital highway that can resilient to this kind of problems.
Right. In my opinion, I think Taiwan already has very competent digital highways because for our listeners, if you are living in Europe, you would find that actually the digital infrastructure is maybe not very fast and very complete. I would say that in terms of digital highway and infrastructure, Taiwan is already leading. What would you like to improve about Taiwan's digital highway?
Yeah. So I mentioned it has to be resilience, right? So one thing we need to have, for example, in Europe, you probably don't have earthquake. You don't have typhoon or hurricane. You have less natural disasters. So you don't need to worry about too much about the resilience because once you have the fiber, you pretty much, they will be there for forever. But in Taiwan, so like, for example, the April 3rd, the earthquake in Hualien, in Hualien, we lost all the communications on the ground. So you don't have a mobile phone communication. You don't have a phone call. All these landlines was cut because of the earthquake. So at that time, actually, we moved to the satellite. So we actually send out the station to communicate with the satellite. So for local, like police department and for this emergency recovery teams, they can use this satellite system to communicate, to rescue people, to save people's life. So that's kind of problem common to Taiwan. So we need to build the resilience. It means we need to also have a very good communication system, but we have to make it resilient. So we have to integrate not only the undersea cables, the mobile communication, we also to integrate the satellites and microwave communications. So all together to make our network rigid, no matter what happens, it can be still, you can still communicate with each other.
Right. And I noticed a keyword, resilience. And there's one thing that happened today that's really timely, actually. I think this morning, early July, the Executive Yuan just passed a draft of the Cybersecurity Management Act, 的资通安全管理法. I think this has a lot to do with the issue of resilience that you talked about. So can you tell us something about this act? What would be different when this act is ratified?
Okay. This is really enhance the security, basically the national security, especially for the cybers. Because we know we're going to have a lot of attacks, right? So every organization, every department, every ministry in Taiwan has to have a very strong security measurement, also the security facilities and implementation.
So, for example, what kind of government facilities, or is it power company or something
Okay, so
like
we
that?
have, first of all, our own government organization itself. We have a lot of data inside the government.
The governments.
We use the internet to communicate, sending data among government administrations and also the departments. So we need to make sure that will be resilient to the cyber attacks. And so that means every ministry, every organization, every department has a strong security implementation. And the other thing is that we have this, you mentioned about infrastructures providers, like the Taiwan Power Company, like all the banks and so on. They also have very good cybersecurity implementation on all the systems. Now, to ensure they have those kind of good systems, we need to have someone to do regular inspection of their system,
Right.
and the testing their system. And this Cybersecurity Act actually giving Ministry of Digital Affairs will have the power to investigate the cyber security implementation and the system about their robustness. So that's the first thing. Okay, so give us the power to able to investigate every government organization, every ministries, and including the cyber critical infrastructure providers.
Right.
Okay, so that make sure that we have the good security implementation the nationwide. Now the other thing actually help us to do the training. We can require we can train more people for the cyber, because we need a lot of cyber security experts in every organization. So that also empower us to basically train more these kind of people, and then to ask every organization to have the person to be responsible for the cybersecurity measurement of their own organization.
Right.
Okay. So that's regulation. They have to provide the per people to do the job, and they need to have enough people to do the job. And that's we put it in the Cybersecurity Act. The last thing is we will define what is the products or the service we can or cannot use. Okay, because there's something that could threaten our national security, and so those kind of product service will forbid them to be used inside the government or also inside the critical infrastructure providers.
Such as TikTok?
TikTok, yeah, especially a lot of products from China will not be allowed to use inside.
Like WeChat.
WeChat and or even communication equipment, like if it's Huawei and those kind of equipment cannot be used inside the government. In the past, we already set it up. You cannot be used inside government, but with this new Cybersecurity Act, that cannot be also used inside the critical infrastructure providers.
I see. So like Power Company, Taiwan Water Company.
Right, all the banks, this kind of critical infrastructure providers, telecommunication company, they are not allowed to use these products.
Right. And actually, this is a direction that's also pursued by a lot of major economies. I think that the U.S. and a lot of European countries, they have also pursued this direction because resilience is really important. And I think for Taiwan, that's a particularly important issue. And I also like very much what you mentioned, that each company or organization has to be responsible for its cyber security robustness. And I honestly don't know if Commonwealth Magazine, that a company that I work for, has a cybersecurity expert. So I think that's something we have to work on. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to ask Minister Huang about what are the steps to combat fraud, since fraud is a very important issue for Taiwanese. Let's take a break. Welcome back to Taiwanology. This is the second part of our show for our interview with Digital Minister Huang Yen-nun. So, Mr. Minister, we were just talking about how many Taiwanese people are concerned about fraud, and there are a lot of scammers out there and people are losing their money. What are the specific policies that the minister has put in place for combating fraud?
Okay, I mentioned that one reason I decided to take this job is because I find that fraud is a big problem in Taiwan, and I think that the technology can help to solve some of the problems. Especially is to help people to know this is a fraud. Okay, for example, when you receive a message, if there's a way I can check if whatever message I receive is a fraud or not, then at least you would able to recognize some frauds.
So like fact-checking.
Fact-checking, yeah. So what we did is we decided to have platform, and we call it the anti-fraud reporting and inquiry platform. What we did is we use AI technology.
Is it already online? Is it available?
Will be online in August.
Okay. Okay, good.
So the idea is, first of all, we have a technology, we're able to scan the internet. We actually, right now we can find roughly 5,000 to 10,000 sort of fraud, especially the fake advertisements every day. And that becomes our database. So when you find a message, if you're not sure it's a fraud or not, you can check, because we may have scanned it and we may have known this is the problem. So if we find that there's a matching of the message with our database, we'll tell you this could be a fraud, for example. And so that's just one thing. And of course, that also helps us, if you find some fraud, you are sure there's a fraud, you can also report it. So that database, at least you can recognize, be serious about the message you receive, okay, and then prevent people to eventually losing money because of those kind of the fake advertisement or fake messages. So that's a technology can help. Basically, we can build up the kind of system to help. And the other thing, of course, we can use the system to identify. You already did that is we work with some banks to able to detect abnormal accounts. If there's accounts that's been idle for some time, and suddenly there a lot of money being transferred into the account with
suspicious.
So an abnormal sort of transaction can be detected also using AI technologies.
Wow.
So we can prevent money being transferred into this kind of problematic account.
I think this would be really helpful, but how can we make sure that the banks are willing to cooperate?
Oh, actually, we already have some banks. Now, this is a system. I think we already work with Hubang, implement the system and been proven to be effective. So there are more banks are taking the steps to detect a normal account. The other thing is we also trying to push, the special for government or government-related organization, if they want to communicate with their customers or with people, they will use, right now we receive a message, the phone number could be shown 09 something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now the government will use the short numbers like 111.
Right.
So this also help people to recognize the message I received. Say if someone claimed they was from Taiwan Power Company or Taiwan Water Company, if their number is 09 something, that must be fake. That must be a fraud.
Right.
So you will use this short number like 111.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's also help people to identify what could be a fraud message. So that's I think there are many things we can help use technology and use this to help people to recognize frauds, and then to prevent the money go wire into this problematic account. So
right. People, keep your hands on your pockets.
Right.
Don't give money to people you don't know.
No, yes.
Right. I really think, so it really sounds like there are really a lot of digital tools available to educate people, to protect people. And I do honestly think that more people need to educate themselves to recognize suspicious messages and advertisement. And so, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing I also like to mention is, there's three big advertising platform company. One, of course, is Meta, the Facebook, and Google, and Line. Right now, we're working very closely with them. We have meetings, we have, with them, and they are all very willing, and they are willing to collaborate with us,
Really?
government.
But what we see is that on Facebook, there's so many
Fake
people pretending to be,
Yeah, so
Yen-nun Huang.
Right. So we just talked to Facebook and Meta on this one.
What are they going to do?
They will help. Eventually, they would follow our demand. They told us is maybe by mid-August, you will be very, very rarely to see those kind of famous people the advertisement.
Okay, so in a month, they will be taken down.
They will take down fast, and they will try to prevent those kind to show up.
Right.
So again, we will see how they do, but I think they are also willing to cooperate with government to deal with this problem, because there are so many stories about people believe
Yes.
For example, like Xie Jinhe, right?
Yeah, this is a very famous investor influencer. People are losing so much money investing to the fake Mr. Xie.
Yeah, including even his friend.
Right. I saw that. Yes.
Yeah. So this is a big problem. So, but again, Facebook, the Meta is working hard to prevent this from happening in the future. So, I believe, and they told us by August, most of this problem will be gone. But let's wait and see. So
okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And one story that has caught people's attention in the past few months was what happened in Matsu. I believe that some of the telecommunications cables were damaged or cut, and then there are a lot of media attention over this. So what does MODA plan to improve the digital resilience of outlying islands?
So, the Matsu is an island, so it is used undersea cables, fibers and so on. But that's not resilient because that can be cut by many reasons, okay? And so the other communication path is we use the microwave communications.
Microwave, like in the kitchen? What kind of microwave?
There's a use of the frequency in the microwave band, and that can be used to transmit from long distance. So we have a microwave base station on the mountain side of Taiwan, and the other side is on Matsu, and they can direct communication by sending the communication.
So this is like radio technology.
Radio. And that we can increase the bandwidth to more than 10 gigabits per second. Right now it's only about 6 gigabits per second, but it will be increased to 10 gigabits per second.
Okay.
That will be enough to cover all the network communication needed right now in Matsu.
Even if people in Matsu want to watch Netflix?
10 gigabits per second is enough to
Good to know.
So, but again, going future, there will also be a satellite system will be installed to help for the communication of the Matsu. Yeah. So anyway, many, as I mentioned, the resilience could be under the water, could be under the ground, could be on the surface, it could be on the sky. And so we try to do everything here.
Right. So all of the above is the solution. So Mr. Huang, my last question for you is lots of countries are kind of banning the use of TikTok. I think the US is talking about it, and I think India has banned it. What's our position on TikTok?
Okay. TikTok definitely is already been banned inside the government, and also very soon will be inside all the critical infrastructure providers' locations. But the TikTok, what I think is if the Security Act passed, they would be required to set up a company in Taiwan, and then there would be a local company in Taiwan, and they will, of course, will follow our regulation. When we ask them to remove a message, they have to remove, otherwise they'll be fined. But before that, we also watch what the U.S. is doing, because we know U.S. has a same requirement. They want the TikTok to be a U.S. company, and they have to sell all the share to a U.S. company, not Chinese company. The TikTok will become at least will be a U.S. TikTok, okay? And once you have a U.S. TikTok, what I think we will do in Taiwan is our TikTok will connect to the U.S. TikTok, not China's TikTok or any other place. And our APP will be U.S. TikTok APP. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, we receive the messages from the US TikTok, not from the China TikTok. And that pretty much can solve most of the problem we have today. Okay, so what I'm hoping is, we do have the US TikTok, and then we will use US TikTok. So that should be a good TikTok to be used.
Better version of TikTok. Okay, so TikTokers out there, you still have some hope, I guess, looking to the future. So, well, thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Huang. Thank you for your time. It was a very nice conversation. And I think I'm looking forward to seeing new changes with the Cybersecurity Act, and also what the big platforms are doing, like Meta and Google. Our eyes are all on them. So thank you very much for coming to our studio today.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
That wraps up today's episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please take a moment to leave a review or shoot us an email. To read more in-depth reports on Taiwan's digital policies, check out Commonwealth English website. Our next episode will be available August 13th. This show is produced by Weiru Wang, Chenming Zhang, and edited by Billy Wu. I'm your host, Guangying Liu. Follow Taiwanology wherever you get your podcasts. Talk to you soon.